There's been no bigger pioneer in the world of women in auto racing than Lyn St. After winning the Rookie of the Year award in her first Indy 500 in 1992, St. James went on a streak of racing in the sport's most prestigious event 7 times in 9 years. Her work off the track has been just as impactful. She served as president of the Women's Sports Foundation from 1990 until 1993 and currently supports and mentors women drivers across the country as they work their way up through the racing circuit.
Lyn St. We're here, and iconic. We're here in her house, and one of the first things you notice is the 1991 Lola that was her car in her rookie year, parentheses, winning the Rookie of the Year award that year. She started Indy 500. Very few of us have special awards hanging from their living room wall, but she does. Hi, Lyn.
Hi. Hi.
Thank you very much.
It's my friend. It's my friend.
It is your friend, and it's brought you immense success, and you are amazing professionally, philanthropically. You're a racing grandmother. We'll get into that too. We got a lot to cover. But first, let's talk about kind of the road to get you where you were. Your mom was afflicted by polio at a young age, and I assume watching her struggle and persevere gave you some inspiration in later life as well?
Probably, at the time you're not really paying that much attention. I mean, it's all about you when you're a kid.
Yeah, of course.
So, but my mom was special, and I mean, my mom also taught me how to drive, because for her, a car was everything. I mean, you and I, if we can ride a bike, we can walk to the store, to the corner, or whatever. My mom couldn't do that. So for her, that car had to be in the garage, and she knew everything about the car. So, I had to learn, about where to put the oil, how to check, the water in the radiator, and I had to learn things about the car before I could drive the car and the family car, and she taught me how to drive. So, I mean, I think somehow that probably morphed into who I became and who I really was but didn't know I was until later in my life.
Well, and there are also obviously seminal moments in everybody's life. You've been very active in the Women's Sports Foundation. You chaired it for a number of years, and Billie Jean King, I assume, is one of your heroes. And She rose, sorry, but it's 1973, and you remember reflecting on the Bobby Riggs, Billie Jean King match. Talk a little bit about that.
That was huge. First of all, I played tennis. Yeah. Never to the point that I'd ever thought about becoming a professional tennis player, but I mean, I played tennis. I was living in South Florida at the time, where Chrissy Everett was from, and I mean, so tennis was big. And so I watched that match on television, and it was 1973 when a lot of stuff was going on in the women's movement that I didn't relate to, but I didn't know how much impact it had on me, but it did have a lot, because in 1974 is when I actually started racing and went out to SCCA and got my competition license and all of that. So when I look back, I realized, when I watched her beat Bobby Riggs and set the world on fire, because it wasn't just about a tennis match, it was about changing the way people perceive women. I think it gave me permission to do something that I wanted to do that I didn't think I could do and that I didn't know how to do yet. But I think somehow it gave me permission. It was like, if she does this on national television in front of all these people, I can go out to some local racetrack and drive a race car.
So we fast forward to 92, and 26 years earlier, you go as a fan to Indy, and you can't get into Gasoline Alley because women aren't allowed there. So how does it feel the first year, 92, and you're debuting with this car, and you're not only in there, but you're in the race?
I can't express how I felt, because I'm not sure my feet ever touched the ground. I mean, I just was floating that entire month of realizing you're doing this. And yet I never stepped back and became, a spectator of my own activity. I just was in the moment, every moment. I mean, that's the best advice. And actually, Martina Navratilova, I talked to her on the Friday before the race, because I go through the whole month. I go through rookie orientation, I pass. I go through practice, don't crash. I get in the field, and then I'm like, there's this gap of time before the race. We've never had that. And as an athlete, you're into a rhythm of how you do things. There was this big gap after the last day of qualifying before the race, and I was going crazy. And Martina called to congratulate me. I mean, this is another one of my sheroes. And she goes, "So how are you doing, Lyn?" And she had that high lifting voice, and I said, I'm going crazy. I don't know what to do because the race isn't for 2 days. She goes, just relax. She said, don't worry about it. She said, just live in the moment. And she said, when you get in the shower, you may put the conditioner on before the shampoo, but that's okay. Just keep living in the moment and you'll be fine. And so that's what I did.
Working Women magazine says you're one of the top 350 women who've changed the world from 76 to 96. What's next? What are you doing for the next 50 years?
Well, as you learned,
right.
I've just become a grandma. So
Fastest grandma, fastest, and she's still racing, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, it's exciting because it's all new, really new. And the other is I'm an ambassador for the RPM Foundation, which stands for Restoration, Preservation, and Mentorship, which is a scholarship program for young people or anybody to get an education in how to work with their hands and restore or preserve vehicles, cars, boats, and planes. I've loved this because I love cars and I love history and I love young people and I believe in education. So if I can somehow leverage my contacts and my relationships to benefit others doing this, I'm liking it, it's fun. So that's one of the things that I'm doing on a regular basis, which takes me to concours and takes me to other kind of events other than just racing.
Final question, rank these attributes and where they are from top to bottom. So grandma, social change agent, race car driver, business lady, philanthropist. All of the above?
Oh, you're nasty.
Yeah, I am nasty, but
You're
you're nasty.
Well, I got to tell you, race car driver is still what feeds my soul. So that would go to the top of the list. The rest of them, they morph depending on the day and the moment.
To do 100 things a day, you do.
Yeah.
Most people will do 10 things a day, so thank you. Lyn St. James, everybody, thank you.